we're going to react to the main man's video of him explaining why Miguel needs buffs. Essentially, he made a hashtag buff Miguel video. And so, first and foremost, what I want to say is that you gotta give credit to main man. He's been in the game for years, literally over a decade. You know, or at least from what I know, since the Tekken 6 days, in terms of making those community-made videos, multi-character combo videos, just the Mishima enthusiast when nobody else was. In terms of a content creator for this game, he's definitely one of the OGs, one of the Heihachis, if you will. No pun intended. When you alter and adjust different moves and change the balance, change the frames here and there for every character across the board during a season, during a new season, then you create it where everybody has to reset and learn and relearn certain properties. Is this still safe? Is this minus? Is this punishable? And you have that for 40 plus characters. The bloat is out of this world. He's completely right about that. The point is that you can suffer from from a level of ignorance in terms of you don't understand certain characters, or you just look at it from a very zoomed out perspective and say, okay, this character, he's good, he's bad, he's this, and you're very zoomed out, but you're not actually going inside the store and looking at all the items and seeing the prices. You just hear from your friend, or you look at a Yelp review and you say, oh, that place is bad, has bad service, but you're not actually going in there and sitting down and seeing for yourself, does this place, do they treat their customers well, stuff like that. So that's just like a little analogy, right? But same thing with him talking about Miguel in this case, is that very misinformed opinions and flat out objectively wrong opinions. And I do feel like I'm somewhat of an authority to explain, or rather correct him in terms of what Miguel can do, what he can't do, how this move should be used. So, I'm going to go through the video and try to do my best to explain from my point of view on how Miguel, what I do all the time. I mean, if you Miguel fans, you're not new to my channel. I mean, I just talk about him all day. But set the record straight, so to speak. Because another, I guess, key reason I'm making this video is because, there's so many newcomers to this game. When they come to this game and then they type in or Google Miguel and they want to learn how to play this guy, they don't know the moves. There's a bunch of freaking moves in the move list. They don't know which ones to use. They go to Savage Stance. It's just like a whole half his moves are in Savage Stance. Which one do I use? How do I, So they go on YouTube, and then the algorithm will put the people who are most popular, in this case, main man, in terms of just a general tech content creator. They'll put them, on top. And then they'll look at this video. This is why Miguel needs buffs. And so they'll be like, oh wow, Miguel's bad. Let me just switch to a different character, And that kind of gives a false perception of the viability of the character. And so for people who are interested in this character, who love this character ever since freaking Tekken 6 tag team, you know what I mean? Not just Tekken 7. Then we want to set the record straight. We want to be sure that for casuals and newcomers coming in, they can get a more clear and more genuine explanation to what Miguel is and what you're stepping into when you decide to select this character. So let's get started. All right, let's get started.
Myself,
yeah, we're gonna have to fast forward.
I was feeling so positive. Strings, etc. He has some crazy stuff, stuff.
Up 4-3-2-2 is a bad example of saying. I assume he's gonna start saying, it's overrated. It's not as good as it appears to be. No competent Miguel player is doing up 4-3-2-2. That's a noob string. So again, it's, like I said, it's just a very zoomed out perspective. That's an immediate go-to easy mode string that you can do. So it's easy to point out, but we're not doing that string. FYI.
See, beginner and intermediate Miguel's try and mix you up with this sort of stuff.
No, we don't do that. We do that as knowledge checks and as conditioning. Okay, then you can intelligently do that in terms of down forward 1-1-2, down forward 1-1-3. We do it, or I say we, but I'm gonna say I, and I don't feel like I'm a bad Miguel player. I feel like I'm advanced. So speaking as that, we don't do those moves, and we don't just throw them out like that and play a guessing game like you appear to think Miguel players are known for or something. So that's, again, just knowledge check or just conditioning. Throw out down for one, down for one, down for 1-1, and then just throw it out sparingly to score counter it.
Very basic fundamental Tekken, and he has very strong movement to.
Yes and no. He is a basic character in the onset. In terms of his inception, he is. I made that video of Tekken 6. How was Miguel originally designed to be played? I made that video to where, in terms of what he's saying, it applies for Tekken 6 Miguel for sure. Very basic character. Get in, savage, do stuff. Very linear gameplay, yes. However, Tekken 7 is not the case, because to his point, Miguel isn't as good, and as in he was in past Tekken games. He's been overshadowed largely by a lot of newer characters, including the guest characters and the newer purchase characters, right? So he has to do a lot to make up that difference in terms of being smart about where you place your moves. Because like I said, and from the first look, it seems that he's basic. However, when you know that his hitboxes are bad, his frames are not good generally, in terms of while standing, normal hitting moves, he doesn't have like go-to pokes like other people have. He's very limited in a lot of ways. So because of his limitations, that makes him not a basic character. Because I have to play way smarter to be successful with Miguel than I do if I play freaking Jack, Brian, Shaheen, Claudio. You know what I mean? To where the gap between skill has to be a lot higher for me as Miguel player to my opponent in order for me to successfully and comfortably win, other than if I'm playing a worse character. I mean, if I'm playing a more easy character, you know, to where the skill gap doesn't need to be that wide. So because of his limitations, I will say that he's not a basic character. So yeah.
And his sidestep is actually really large.
It is.
So if you're a strong defensive player, you can get some decent mileage out of a character. But when you compare to Shaheen, who also does super well with this type of playstyle, you know, and has a modern hop kick, Miguel has a legacy hop kick. What that means is that it has no range whatsoever.
This guy can't capitalize off of his movement as well as other characters. So it's all right. Having good movement with Miguel is good. It's cool. But ultimately, you need to have even better movement than what his good movement already allows. And I'll explain that by saying that you're not going to get by just having good movement and throwing out a forward 4-2 or a 1+2 or a down forward 4-1. You know what I mean? Or God forbid a standing 4-3. You're not going to get by doing that. Like, what are you moving for? You have to have better movement than what his movement can already do in order to get at range 0 and 1 to the opponent, in order to do a down for 1. You know what I mean? In order to do a 2-1, in order to do a savage 1, you know, and then begin your offense. So you have to have good movement and bait out whiffs to get really close to your opponent to start your offense. That's why his movement doesn't really complement, or his offensive game doesn't really complement his good movement. So in that case, yes, I do agree. Oh, and I forgot to say that second part is what, in terms of the hop kick, I don't even know where he got that from. Miguel's hop kick is fine, has good range. It's a proper 15 frame punisher, works as intended, good move. So just disregard that.
Classic universal down for 2, that's very good. Miguel has his own down for 2, and it's, yeah, let's just say it's not on par with the classic down for 2.
So okay, I agree with you. I agree with him on there in terms of Miguel's down for 2. First off, consider down for 2-1. Nobody, you're not doing down for 2-2 unless you just need something to spiral the opponent in the air. Or down for 2 down 2, which is a legacy move, which was his bound in Tag 2 and T6, which is now useless. So You're doing down for 2-1, so that's his down for 2. I mean, you should at least mention his, launch, right? Down for 2-1, which, like he said, is not as good as down for 2 by Law, by Paul, by Shaheen. Not as good. It's launch punishable. It's slower probably. I'm not sure. Are there down for 2s 15 or 16 frames? But Miguel's down for 2-1 is 16 frames. And the problem with his down for 2-1 is that it's a 2-hitting move, which makes it easy peasy to punish. That's like Bob's while standing 2-1. These are the worst launchers you can ever have, because any novice can punish that because they have the time of seeing 2 moves instead of just 1 move. Having said all that, you can't completely disregard his hop kick, because that is his down for 2. It's his hop kick. That's his single hitting standing launcher, So yes and no,
If you do get to launch someone, and you will have a hard time doing so with this character, he has good wall travel, but the combo damage is average at best. So there's no...
Now, this is probably the most egregious thing he said. Where did he get that from? I don't even, yeah, I'm trying to take a break. I would pull up Tekken right now, but Miguel's combo damage is not average at best. It's actually above average. It's always been above average. Season 1, especially, that was definitely A tier, arguably even S tier in terms of his damage. Even here in Season 3 with his down for 2-1, now that they decreased the amount of cooldown time, you can get a down back 2. You can do really good damage, especially with the fact that they've made his standing 3-4 a launcher. Means that you can get in the upper 70s every time in terms of, not every time, you can get 70s in terms of his combo damage. So his combo damage is not bad, not subpar. It's good, it's not the best. Take all that what I said and now you have to introduce some of Miguel's techniques in terms of which you should be considered. And again, if these people don't play Miguel, they don't really know about the stuff. Savage down back 3 and counter hit Savage down back 3 and then counter hit down back 4. Which you get that, you get a counter hit, you get a 4-4-2-1, then you get a free guaranteed Savage down for 2. Now, what does that give you? 62, 64 damage or something. So from 2 counter hitting low pokes, he can get easy 64 damage easy. You know what I mean? Not to mention the offensive momentum, which we'll get to in terms of Miguel's playstyle, which he's not considering. When you look at Miguel from just like a paper, like a spreadsheet, you're not getting how this character is played. He's not just an on paper character. This guy is very heavily based off offensive momentum and how often and how well can he get into his offense. So you consider stuff like that plus the offensive momentum, because a lot of times when you do Savage down for 2 on the ground and you end your combo on that, then they get up and you're face to face to them. And then it's better for Miguel than other characters, because once they're recovering from getting hit by a Savage down for 2 on the ground, then you have the option to run up to them, be plus frames, and then have access. And now you have access to your Savage moves along with your normal moves. So if you have that added time, then that won't matter to other characters who doesn't rely so heavily on a stance. But Miguel has probably the most moves out of a stance. Unless I'm wrong, Miguel has a lot of moves out of Savage stance. That's very important for him to access that. So if he can have his Oki game to where he can get into Savage for free, based on how you choose to end combos, then you have to take that into account in terms of his average damage,
Well, considering you have characters who do the same thing, just much better. The reason you play him is because you love him, his design, and him playing the guitar and singing
Agreed.
Mi amore opkike.
Agreed.
But I also want to mention that he doesn't fit Tekken 7 very well, considering this game is a lot about 50-50s. And especially getting Rage really cements how 50-50 this game is. He has no safe mid launchers, and he has no 50-50 potential whatsoever. you might think that this move is good,
Whoa.
but and it's extremely telegraphed, the animation, and a strong player. I mean, online this is gonna work better, but a strong.
Hold on, let's just go back. First off, he said he has no 50-50 potential whatsoever. It's just like, yo, just very egregious, very egregious. And I mean, it's not his fault, man. I doubt he's ever played a really good Miguel player. Often. No, I doubt he's played a variety of really good Miguel players that have a high rank. I very much doubt it. As far as you would not say something like that. One thing Miguel has always been is tricky in a lot of 50-50s and a lot of combo routes to go with, given that he can get on the offensive. You know what I mean? Then I don't know what character he's talking about. I mean, you gotta play me or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I do back 3 on you, I get to Savage Stance. Do you really think I don't have any mix-up potential? You really think I'm not gonna hit you with something? Really? It's just like that's just very untrue. I mean, just think about Savage Stance. You have back 1-4, back 1-2, Savage back 1-4, Savage back 1-2. Back 1-2 is crappy, but it's still an option that serves the 50-50 potential. I have Savage back 1, then I can go back into Savage by holding forward. Then I can do anything I want. You know what I mean? His down forward 1 series alone, the thing everybody knows, that's 50-50. Yeah, and whether I'm going to do down forward 1-2, down forward 1-1, and especially in season 3 or season 3.30, right, to where they buffs down forward 1-2, to where the second hit gives you a knockdown, which I can get a free follow up, but then Oki. So am I going to do that? Am I just going to do a single down forward 1? Or am I going to do down forward 1-1? If I get into down forward 1-1, am I going to do the low kick or the mid punch? You know, or am I not going to do anything at all? That's 3 different options. Because remember, after 1-1, I can get into Savage Stance. So after down forward 1-1, I can go Savage Stance, I can go low kick, or I can go the mid punch. So how is that not 50-50? Like, did you go through his move list before making the video or something? You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's not true, bro. So let's continue. I do agree with that. Offline people do block that, but offline people, rarely do you see that blocked on all levels. Rarely do you see. And I also actually don't think it's because it's telegraphed. I think it's just a slow move, and that's why offline is blocked. More so. But that move isn't telegraphed, because how he reaches for his punch is kind of a similar animation to doing down forward 1 or Savage back 1. When he does a wind up punch, that's not signature to his down back 1. He does a wind up punch for a bunch of different things. So if you really look at his animation, he can get by confusing opponents and think he's doing something else when he does that movement. So it actually isn't as telegraphed as you think. I just think because it's just on paper, like you said, 26-27 frames is very slow. That's why offline it gets blocked. But this move does not get blocked online. Trust me. And if the move was super telegraphed, like a hell sweep or something like that, then it would get blocked offline and offline. So he's kind of wrong on that point too. Let's continue.
You have some cute full crouch mix-ups with a 14 frame launcher here that's extremely risky.
You know, there's better sweeps in terms of Miguel's full crouch. Let me go back there. There's better mix-ups.
Minus 18. You have some.
That move right there. There's better sweeps for sure. However, that move is good. And again, I'm talking like this because I'm expecting new Miguel players to come in, maybe see this as a related video and then watch, right? So I'm kind of talking about this in a more explanatory, tone, I guess. So that move is actually underrated because the range is amazing. The range is amazing. To where if you hit somebody on the tip of that, sometimes the people can't punish it because he really extends his leg when he does that. The range is surprisingly far. So that's why that move is good. About that move, like I said, is that the range is really good and it's a very chunky damage, and it can give you good situations, especially if the wall is near. You can get a wall splat from doing 4-4 2-2. Also, you can get rage drive from that too. So it has its uses, It again, you look at it from a zoomed out perspective, then it's just like, oh, the move's crappy, it's cute. Like, no, it has uses.
Cute full crouch mix-ups with a 14 frame launcher here that's extremely risky.
It is very extremely risky. I'm not going to cape for this move at all. That move is just bad, other than being a 14 frame punish.
You have a full crouch sweep, 22 frames, but again, extremely telegraphed animation, and also telegraphed by the fact that it comes out from his full crouch.
I disagree. It's easy to be on training mode and visually look at it and say, oh, that's telegraphed. In game, if you're playing regularly, if there's some distance between you, if you're doing it from crouch, you're not crouching and then doing it. If you're already crouching, you know what I mean? Or you do a cancel from a 4-4-2-2, and then you're in a crouching position, that move is not telegraphed at all. And plenty of people get hit by that. Plenty of people of all levels get hit by that. That move is very surprising and has sneaky range. So I kind of disagree with him on that. And this is based on experience playing Miguel, by the way.
Or bad range. And the sweep has a lot of range, but again,
Again, no, the mid option has... I've shit on that move enough, but that mid option has good range. All you're doing is stepping outside of the range.
Bad range.
All you're doing is stepping outside of the range and then doing it, causing it to whiff, and then saying it has bad range. That doesn't mean it has bad range. You know what I mean? I can do any move and then step back far enough and then do the move and it'll eventually whiff and then say, oh, that has bad range. But in practice, in terms of the application of the move, how you'll be using it, that move actually has really good range because he takes a large step forward and then does it. So in actual use, that move has good range.
The sweep has a lot of range, but again, telegraphed by the crouch, and that is what they will be on the lookout for if they stand far away. And they will be
I disagree. Miguel is one of the characters that isn't really picked. I mean, you show the usage rates. Miguel's is down there in terms of how much he's picked, which means people aren't looking for anything. They don't even run into Miguel. You know what I mean? Let alone a Miguel that's actually good or high level or is experienced. You know what I mean? How many? What do you think the ratio of times people run it? Not only run to a Miguel, but run to a Miguel that's has a good flow of offense, that has a good defensive scheme, that can punish correctly. People aren't looking for that because they don't. A lot of people still don't even know how to play against Miguel because they don't see him that often, which helps Miguel out in terms of getting wins, is because people don't know how to play against him. A random situational sweep like that, nobody's looking for that.
away, and why is that? Because of his horrible range.
Agreed.
There's this saying that Miguel has T-Rex arms.
You see, he don't have to backdash that too far to cause a whiff on there. You don't gotta do nothing. He didn't even do a full backdash and he put the move in the already whiffing. You know what I mean? Like, see, now that move has shit range. I mean, no. Miguel as a character has bad range. You know what I mean? And people love to say, oh, well, actually, Miguel's. I looked on the they love to say like, yo, I looked on the little frame, because it shows right there the distance from opponent, right, and how far they need to be to move to hit, stuff like that. And they go 1-2, and they're like, what do you mean? His one jab has the same range as every other characters. What are you guys talking about? He has bad range. It's like, bro, I know y'all don't play Miguel. Just say you don't play Miguel. Stop speaking like you play him, and you're gonna avoid getting embarrassed. I'm not talking about main man. I'm just talking about what people say in general. You know, when they actually go to Miguel videos like my video, and then they claim, what are you guys talking about? Miguel has bad range. His one jab is just the same as everybody else. Like throwing context out the window. It's just like too many people look at this game on paper. No, man, this game has so much nuance. You can't do that. You gotta play the damn game. Pick up the controller, play the damn game. Why do I say that, man? Okay, Miguel's one jab has the same range every other one jab. Okay. Now, what about his 4-2? What about his 2-1? Which is arguably more important than his 1-2 jab? Have you tested the range on that? You know? And I could go on and on by various amounts of punches to where the range is just bad, you know? What about Miguel's long range or keep out pokes. Have you tested that? Compare him to other characters in terms of the amount of effective pokes he has, or his keep out game in general, or his moves he can use to approach your opponent. Now, if you talk about the character in whole, do you see the common trend, like he's saying, of T-Rex arms, of the fact that, however you want to say it, his pokes have very his pokes have diminishing returns. Like, his pokes are not things you just throw out there. You know, you don't have to study this. You don't have to take my word for it. Just play them, then you'll see. You know. So again, people fall in love with the one jab argument, but he has T-Rex arms. He has bad range. Main Man's right about that.
And that's not made up.
It isn't.
He has very, very poor range.
Now, I mentioned the 50-50 argument. I said it was bad. Now, to his point, I will give you that Miguel's 50-50 game isn't as effective. You don't get as much reward as other characters. I will say that. It is riskier. But to say he doesn't have 50-50 is flat out wrong. Maybe to his point, it doesn't seem like Miguel has 50-50. It's because it's hard for Miguel to get into his 50-50s, which is a problem with this character. Before you get started with your offense, you have to play him like a duck. You know, you have to play him like a backdash, down for one, get in, you know what I mean, poke. You have to play him like that because it's hard for him to get into him because his stuff is just risky and not as effective as other characters, like I said. So it could seem that way, you know.
I shit you not, it's a big deal. His is extremely underwhelming. Comes out at
it is
17 frames, which is not very fast.
17 frames, no evasive properties really. Maybe that ducks highs, maybe. But when you actually look at it, you'll get interrupted plenty of times when you actually use it in a match.
It's not slow either, but
it's only +3, and the pushback is crazy. It's only +3, which completely goes against Miguel's gameplay. It literally makes no sense why it's +3 with that much pushback. It's like it's for a different character or something. They coded on the wrong character and they said, "Oh snap! Well, we already released it. Sorry." Like
+3 on block. There's not a lot of good things to say about this rage drive.
Facts.
But it used to be like almost worst in the game, on par with laws.
It did.
But they did give it the property of a second bound. So for example, you can do 3-4 screw.
And it gets a second spin.
And then you get a second screw or bound.
And the people are like, "Oh my god, it's fixed. This is what I'm saying. That's my problem I have with some other Miguel players. It's like, oh wow, it's fixed, but they finally did it justice. I'm just sitting here like, are you kidding me? This whole thing should have been reworked like Steve. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't save this move. It's still bad. Like, just because it gives you a second spin, which is cool, now you can get some decent damage out of it. You can get a proper combo, but it's still the same move. They didn't change the evasiveness. They didn't change the frame advantage on block. You know what I mean? They didn't allow you to go into Savage from it. This is like a pity fix. That's what that is.
So you do get combo extension, but I can't say this is amazing considering how poor Miguel's low.
Also, its best use is from low, which means you have to take a risk and try and go for a low. Notably, the most easy thing is a punch sweep, coincidentally. Down back 1 or something like that. You have to go for something like that in order to make use of it. Where it's just like, you know, so you have to take a risk in order to even use it effectively. So it's kind of crap.
Launchers are. And it's also fair to say that in Season 2 he was stronger. We're gonna get into that. And they nerfed him for Season 3. Even though he was nothing special and he didn't do particularly well in tournaments.
First part wrong, second part right. So, and that's a problem. Even the development team does this. They look to tournament results and they look to how well people do there, then they judge it based on that. It's like, what kind of nonsense is that? Like, I'm just gonna be honest. If you're the developer of the game and you develop the characters in your game, you shouldn't need another player to tell you how to augment and configure your own characters. You develop that character. It's like it's like a manga writer or whatever needing fans to give him theories in order to put that in his own manga. Like if I made the character, I should know the character's playstyle, how he was designed, why I put that move into this character, why I made this move block punish or launch punishable, why I made this move safe. I made the character, you know what I mean? So why should I look towards tournament results to you know, like I said, to configure and to balance the character roster based on other players who aren't involved in the development team. Now I can see in terms of exploits or infinites or whatever glitches that somebody discovers that, okay, let's patch that. But in terms of the character playstyle and the decisions to balance, it's just ridiculous. To me, that's just the most silliest thing I ever heard, to be honest with you. Season 2 Miguel had the most potential. Season 2 Miguel was definitely high mid-tier in terms of the tier list, but he was a sneaky A tier. He was a sneaky A tier in terms of the potential he had. Even still now, there's still so much to discover from Miguel. You know what I mean? To where he could steamroll people who didn't know how to deal with him or didn't know certain tactics he had, because he's a low usage character. You have to factor that in. It's like, what's his name, Ringchu, or the dude who played Panda, a low usage character. They can do some stuff you never seen. Or Kubo, we all saw that, you know, before he rose to prominence. You know, people didn't really pick him like that, and then you saw Super Kuma and other people do things you've never seen. That same thing is with Miguel. Miguel has stuff like that to where most people have never seen certain techniques, certain tactics, certain setups, you know what I mean?
Down forward 4. So it's extremely slow. The animation is 27 frames, but then you also have to factor in that does not take into account the input of back and then down forward 4. And it's very telegraphed by Miguel shouting, "Sria!" He shouts it immediately as the move starts up. And that's a great cue for your opponent to block low.
I can't even say anything.
And the
That's all
animation
true.
is extremely telegraphed.
Bad input.
So when this 27 frame move hits, do note that Anna's Snake Edge is 27. And has immediate high crushing. Launches on normal hit. This has no crushing. He remains
That's the story
fully
of Miguel.
standing vertical.
He has no crushing,
What
no
do we
evasive
get?
properties on his moves. This is a huge problem.
28 damage and plus 8.
Across the whole
And it knocks them away. Say that this has to be one of the worst of the new moves in Tekken 7.
Agreed. Although it does have a good use, they really buffed the damage towards like what, 27 damage or something on normal hit. What is it?
But overall, I have to say that this has to be one of the worst of the new moves in.
And they made it homing too. They're just again trying to make this move usable at least. We don't even know why he was giving this move. The last thing Miguel needed was a new low. He needed a knockdown mid. You know, we don't know why he was giving this. They made it, like I said, tracking. They buff the damage, so it actually operates as a good Oki tool, to where it doesn't hit on the ground, but if they roll or do anything or try and get up, then they'll hit. They try and do a get up kick, then they'll launch them. It's actually pretty good as a Oki tool, but otherwise moves crap.
In Tekken 7. It is used though in some Oki situations.
Okay, you mentioned that.
Like here, it's actually guaranteed.
No, it's not guaranteed there. What's guaranteed there is Savage down. Savage down forward 2. I'm surprised he even knows about that, but you just got the move wrong.
There it's
That's
actually
not guaranteed.
But overall,
if they don't do anything, it'll whiff. If they try and get up, then they'll hit them.
A horrible move in the neutral. So this is them spitting on Miguel, going from Season 2 to Season 3.
True.
So what happened in Season 2? He had a standing 4 with long range. They nerfed the range. So no more nice magic 4 for Miguel. That also meant that this, as a 12 frame Punisher, was weakened due to the lack of range. We're gonna talk about...
It still has good range though. But It's just, why did that need to be nerfed? What? He wasn't exactly a master in the department of ranged pokes. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, why? It didn't make sense. So I agree.
Punishment soon. Oh my god. And they also nerfed his 50-50 because in Savage he had a down back 3 that was +5 and forced crouch. Now it's +4, so 1 less frame of advantage. But more importantly, it does not force crouch anymore.
They nerfed it in 2 different ways.
And you might be thinking,
why?
well, that doesn't sound like a big deal. It's a really big deal.
All right,
because when it doesn't force crouch,
he's completely on the money. It's a huge deal. Any Miguel player or somebody who, like I said, a lot of people like to talk about the character who don't play him. If they think that's not a big deal, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't play Miguel. You have to call these people out, bro. You know what I mean? You have to get the narrative right. What he's saying, at least, this part is fucking on the money. Like, that's a huge deal. I already made a video on that. But pretty much, to make a long story short, I'm not sure what he's about to say, but it's my opinion. To make a long story short, once it forced crouch, they can only sidestep a certain way. So depending on what side they weren't able to escape certain moves. But in my opinion, the bigger deal is not forced crouch. It's from going from +5 to +4. When you go up to +4, then certain moves are no longer guaranteed, like Savage. Because remember, he can go into Savage after doing a Savage down back 3. So once you do Savage back 1, that should be guaranteed. Once you do a Savage down forward 4 to catch people to step to the weak side, that was guaranteed. Now it's not guaranteed. So the only thing you can do that's really a guaranteed hit, I mention this because if your opponent knows that I can do a guaranteed move after this, then they're going to be less likely to attack. You know what I mean? So just having, I don't have to attack every time after that, be predictable. But if they know that I can attack you, I have a plethora of options to attack you first, then they'll respect Miguel, which helps me out as a Miguel player. But at this point with +4, the only thing that's guaranteed or that doesn't trade is his down forward 1, which is linear. You know what I mean? So a good option after getting hit by that, now that it doesn't force crouch and now it's +4, is just to jab after that. And you might beat out whatever Miguel does after that, you know? It cuts his offense, because that's his most important tool out of Savage stance. It just butchered his offense, of nerfing Savage down back 3. So
your opponent is free to sidestep both sides after taking the hit. It's a really big deal. But the opponent is free to move however he wants. And of course, they...
But that's another thing, too. He's completely right. But a lot of people who don't play Miguel, they immediately look at the forced crouch thing and say this is bad. You know what I mean? And that's the whole argument, is for the forced crouch, how bad is it? But me, as a Miguel player, who's speaking on his options he could do after Savage down back 3, that has to be considered too. So there's 2 pillars of how much is screwed Miguel is the forced crouch and the +5 to +4. So both have to be considered, but people who don't play them only look at the forced crouch situation. So
they nerfed Savage down for 2.
They did.
It was -17 on block. This is a long range natural hit launcher. This has always been -17, but it had huge pushback in season 2. It was safe against a lot of characters, but now very little pushback. Very little pushback. In my opinion, they nerfed this move too much. It should have more pushback, because
I agree too. It should have more pushback. It just shouldn't have had that much pushback. I think we can all, even Miguel players, agree it shouldn't have been that broken, that silly. But at the same time, it should have a decent amount of pushback, you know, considering the fact that you have to do it out of a Savage stance, considering the fact that in that distance, there's no real, to his point, there's no real mix up or 50-50 between low or mid, because that's a mid move. He doesn't have anything low that can, the opponent has to guess. So all they got to do is hold back. So considering this lock behind the stance, he should get more reward for impacting opponent. As in, it should be safer on block, in my opinion. So it should have more pushback. Not season 2 pushback, but it should have more.
Now, every single character in the game will just launch you here.
Now the move is like, why would you throw it out unless you're just YOLOing? You know, unless you're just like, fuck it. Then why would you throw that out? The move does have good evasive properties though. On the onset of the move, it does duck under highs though, so that's something to consider. Point blank, it has some good use in terms of anticipating a high move.
That's really bad. And to make up for all of this, they made this move Savage 2 safe at -9. And that's a knockdown, big damage mid.
It's cool, and that was his best buff from season 3 for sure. It's really good. However, it's kind of an overrated buff. I mean, I already talked about this in another video, but it's an overrated buff in terms of the fact that it was -12 and now it's -9. People never punished that to begin with. Because again, nobody knows Miguel and nobody knows frames on that stuff. And he already had because remember, that's out of Savage Stance. He already had a safe -9 knockdown mid move out of Savage Stance, which was Savage up 4-3. That was -9 already. So this isn't anything game changing because he already had a move that can function for that. So the nerfs to Savage down 2 and to Savage down back 3 are exponentially worse than the buff to Savage 2.
So yeah, unfortunately. And let's see, we've talked about range problems. That has been demonstrated.
So he's right on a lot of issues, by the way. Again, I'm just doing this non-biasedly. I'm not saying he's wrong on everything, but you know, he's hitting the money on a lot of stuff.
His arms have very poor range. Oh, I'm actually surprised when I see stuff connecting. I'm like, yeah, you go, Miguel. He has good homing though. Forward 4 is really nice. Forward 3, look at this homing move. Eesh! Low and chill. Good homing though. Forward 4.
Forward 4 is good, but it doesn't really do anything. You take a risk by throwing out. It's natural. 4-4-2 is natural. Doesn't really get you anything unless a wall's near. On hit is +6. Wow, I thought it was +7. Anyway, it's +6 on hit. But it's slow. It's 17 frames. And by the way, this is his only good safe poke, by the way. It's 4-4, which is just a single hit, doesn't knock down, doesn't do anything. 17 frames. It's homing. However, the problem with this move is that the hitbox is so high. You'll find characters like Ling and other characters duck under this so many times. So many times they'll duck under this mid homing move. Duck under Miguel's only good homing move, only good poke. So many characters duck under, especially small and low profile characters. That this move we've been asking for this move to get buffed since, you know what I mean, like since the day one, dude. So I mean, you got to mention that problem. Now it's the reverse. Now I'm telling you, hey, you got to say this move is bad. You can't just say the move is good, you know. So
it's really nice. Forward 3, look at this homing move. Eesh!
That move is cute.
Hit.
That move is cute, but you're not getting anything with that. It's high, it's slow. It is homing, but why would you do that as a homing move when I can do 4-4-2, right? Which comes out way faster and which is less risky. Or I can do Savage 4, which comes out even faster than that. It's a high just like 4-4-3, except it's safe on block. I mean, that's safe too, but it's not as slow, like I said, in telegraphed. So and it's like I said, significantly faster. Like, what is that? What is that move?
Look at this homing move. Eesh!
20 frames. Yet Savage 4 is 5 frames faster. It's 15 frames. You know what I mean? And I can get a lot easier setups, and it's easier for me to maximize the damage on Savage 4, and I have a guaranteed hit. Versus this one, the damage has been nerfed in season 3, and it's pretty hard to get really good damage with that. So yeah, and it's easier to mix it into your offense. Like I said, Savage 4, you already have that at Savage Stance, so you just set up how you want it to and then throw that move out. Here I have to do 4-4, slow, lumbering. 3 is high, very slow, seeable, a lot of pushback. It's just like the move's really ineffective, and actual battle. So agree.
But why is he allowed good homing? It's because his 50-50 is so weak. It's like the same phenomenon you see with Brian. Brian is allowed incredible space control because of a weak 50-50. Kazuya, however, has worse space control because his 50-50 is so strong. You see how that works? How you have to make a trade there to make the character balance.
See, you're assuming they actually thought about this stuff and then kind of made it, you know, kind of intelligently crap. I mean, you want this game to be a certain game. And for certain characters, they are. But that does not include Miguel. Miguel isn't a character in Tekken 7 Season 3 to where things are properly implemented, things are thought out. He has a particular game plan. Now, this character has a lot of strategies and techniques going in all different directions. Just a mosh posh of moves, if that's how you say it. In which is fun because you can make a strategy out of how you want to play, you know. But nah, bro. We already talked about the 50-50. He definitely has a 50-50 game.
But good homing. So again, weak comeback potential, and that's a huge thing in Tekken 7. Yeah, down by.
That's wrong. Miguel has, by the nature of the character, Miguel has good comeback potential because he's a character is like a train. Once he's going, he's on, it's hard to stop. Once he's stopped, it's hard to start. But Miguel has really good comeback potential because he has a lot of strings and a lot of mix-ups, contrary to what you're saying. And a lot of 50-50s, like I said. And a lot of counter-hitting, a lot of moves that lead to a sudden spike in damage after a counter hit. You know? Like, for instance, I already talked about it. Savage down 3, Savage down back 3, down 2, get the stomp. Savage 1-1, where you can get the down 4, 1+2. Savage 1-4 gives you a wall bounce. He has a lot of moves that if you have momentum, you're coming back, you get a counter hit, though you can take off huge chunks of damage. That's how Miguel's always been, so that's just wrong.
And I'm gonna say when it connects, I'm gonna say that very loosely because this almost never connects. They really have to help you out here. But there's this myth going around that this move actually hit at some point in 2017.
This is not,
a Miguel player got this
one.
move to hit. His name was Shana Harababa, and he's a legend now in the Miguel community. There are posters of him everywhere at Sephi Black's
I'm just waiting for him to finish talking. So I can
but when
respond.
it does work, it is an 11 frame counter hit launcher.
Alright, so people have already driven this point home when he first released this video of how wrong he is on that. But let's just say briefly, back 1 is an amazing counter hitting move. It serves as a get off me move. It serves as a response to being pressured by your opponent. It was never meant to be thrown out like that. Why would you throw out back 1? That's not its function. This was back when Tekken actually had benefits and drawbacks for moves to where, hey, back 1 can't be, we can't all be Steve. We can't all be some other good character. Like, it doesn't need range. It functions well as a get off move in response to being pressured by your opponent up close. Now, it's an 11 frame launcher. 11 frame counter hit launching that's actually safe on block. It's an 11 frame counter hit launcher. It puts you in a position to where they're crumbling to where Miguel can do things like set up a back turn launcher and then get a free grounded move, and he can set it up to where he can time the move to where if they do anything, if they try and get up, then he gets a free launch after that. That move alone, when you hit him with that, successfully hit him with a counter hit back 1, that move can steal around easy. Again, you have to play good Miguel. He probably doesn't do that, so you can say stuff like this.
He's quite slow. These big frame moves like +3 here, yeah. Back 3 +7. But again, comes out at 30 goddamn frames. And again, up for the 1.
Again, you never played a good Miguel. I'm kind of over this video already. You never played a good Miguel, bro. First off, his Superman punch, the up for 1, I will give you that. That one is decent. You know, it's mid. It used to be high in Tekken 6. It's mid. But it's only +3, so he can't really do too much off of that, you know. And it has a very high hitbox, so it's a decent option, you know, to catch an opponent slipping or just to establish offensive pressure. However, his back three, definitely top 5 moves in Miguel's arsenal. I would argue top 3 moves that Miguel has in his entire move list. That move is amazing. First off, it's not just -7. It's -7 to -9 on block, depending on what frame you hit the opponent with. It's -7 to -9 on hit or on block. And you can go into Savage from that move. So in one move, whether it's a hit or a block, I've now turned the match around, and I now can do any move I want. I already explained to you the benefit Miguel has from safely getting into Savage stance, which is so hard for him. That move just fixes that instantly. It's very slow, but you don't just do the move from no reason. You have to set up your offense, set up your play style. You have to do it from an Oki situation. You know what I mean? You have to time it well, and then you'll be able to successfully do the move. Not to mention that you turn your offense around after impacting the move. On a counter hit, you can get do you know how much damage you can get for that combo? You can get an 80+ combo easy from that move on a counter hit. That's one of his most damaging launchers, is a counter hit back +4. So not only does it have all those good properties, that's good hit frames, but it's also counting a launcher. So also it hits very low, to where it's the same as the back down forward 4 he talked about, his little new sweep. If you do it and they do anything, they roll, something like that, it'll hit the opponent. So great hitbox, great frames, great damage potential on counter hit. Definitely a top 3 move. But again, you don't play good Miguel, you wouldn't know that. Or you don't play Miguel, you wouldn't know that.
Frames. This is a lot of frames being airborne, you know, mid-air, right in your opponent's face, and if they do a jab, you get floated. So that's a lot of frames of you hanging in the air. And overall, a pretty sluggish character. Pretty slow. In my opinion.
He's always been like that, though.
So you have a hard time launching people. I think if Savage up for 3 was a counter hit launcher, that would be great.
We've been saying that. We've been saying that for a minute, and they're probably going to change it with the season 4. They're going to do something with that move. I bet.
See, oh god, I didn't even mention the punishment. Again, weak jab. 2-1 is 11 frame punish, but has no range.
0 range. That's a big problem. But if you do get the punish, that's a very good 11 frame punisher. Good chunky damage. You're +7. You're in Savage stance. You can turn the match around. Like I said, he's a momentum based character. They don't take that into account. They're just looking at it on paper. So, and a very good 11 frame punish move, which is in contrast with his 12 frame punish, which is abysmal, horrible, which is 4. It's just a standing 4. It's horrible. But his 11 frame is great. His 1-2, his 10 frame is, you know, it's like any other 10 frame. It's not Kazuya or Kazumi. You know, you got the 1-1-2, but it's decent. You know, you get some +5, I believe. You know, you're in a good situation. It's just like you said, the range on the 2 moves is bad. But if you do hit it, then it's not bad.
For very limited range. So for 12 frame, you'll do a standing 4.
Horrible.
I'm not joking. Doesn't have good range. Remember, it was nerfed from season 2 to season 3.
That's literally his 12 frame punish right
13
there.
frame.
So pretty much what you want to do is, if you're close enough, you want to go for 2-1, and just don't even get the 12 frame. No point in doing a 12 frame. You either want to go 1-2 or 2-1. If the punch window is 12 frames.
3-4.
3-4. Now he has stuff to work with. They changed that.
Again, the range is questionable.
You know, it's a good knockdown move, but in my opinion, I prefer down 1-2, or down forward 1-2, or down forward 1-1. I think that's better. It puts you in a better situation. You do down forward 1-1. It's not as damaging, but you're +5 with the ability to go into Savage stance, so you can begin your offense and begin your momentum. So 13, he's in a good spot, and 13 frame punish.
That's decent. 14 frame. Oh, sorry. Yeah, forward 1+2.
Great punish. You can do that. Then you can do Savage 2. Good damage. Very good damage. Not only that, you can do that. Then you can do Savage up forward 3 or Savage down forward 2. And then you can make them do that flopping animation. You can get more offensive momentum. Really good punish is forward 1+2 on 14 frames.
Which is nice, I guess. And then 15 frame, unfortunately, all you have is the hop kick.
How's that unfortunate? You have a launcher. And that what you want out of 15 frames? Weird.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Miguel suffers this legacy hop kick where
the actual game and ranked gameplay, I've never had a problem responding with a hop kick from a launch punchable move personally.
Nope. Unfortunately, that's his 15 frame launcher.
You can punch that with anything.
The hop kick where
that's like -17. Like that move isn't for a ranged punish. You use down forward 2-1. That's what it's for. It's for the more ranged launch punish. You know what I mean? Hop kick is 15 frames. Down forward 2-1 is 16 frames. You use down forward 2-1 on that situation, not a hop kick. So you're using the wrong move. He already has something for a ranged punish. You know what I mean? For something that's clearly punishable that gets pushed back, he already has something for that. It's down forward 2-1. Which you said is bad range, but now you're not using that move when it comes to when you should use that move. See what I'm saying? It's just like, nah, bro, he already has something for that. It's down for a 2-1. You don't have to use hop kick for everything. Hop kick is fine.
To why you don't see Miguel in high level play and why Sephi Black is nothing short of a hero for playing this character. Talk about being a character specialist and loyalist. And that's why you see him play Shaheen a lot, because I think Shaheen and Negan are rather close to Miguel, but they just do a much better job. I hope you enjoyed the video.
Look, man, the constant thing I've been saying is that you don't play enough Miguels. You don't play enough good Miguels. You know what I mean? I feel like I provided a lot of knowledge to Miguel players and helped a lot of Miguel players out. But see, this is what people have been telling me, man. See, man, I gotta jump into the fray. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to talk about it, you know what I mean? But if I feel like I'm one of those players, they're not playing enough good players, then yo, let's do a 1st to 3. Let's do a 1st to 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very clear to me that you guys don't play good Miguels. It's very clear. You know what I mean? And whose fault is that? They fight who's in front of them, right? Who they meet online, who they meet in person, or back when there was in-person tournaments. So it's just like, don't make me jump into the fray. You know what I'm saying? Don't make me jump into the fray. But that's all I gotta say, man. Comment what you think. This video is super long. I don't know how long it's gonna take to edit this. How long the video is gonna be when it's all said and done, but that's all I gotta say.